Good evening, everyone. Welcome to tonight's study session. Over the past few weeks, we've gone through range construction at 40 big blinds, and now we're going to move to some short stack for the next little while. We're going to start with range construction of 20 big blinds and the difference between 40 and 20, and kind of a bit of why that is. If you'll notice, we have two charts up here today. We have our 40 big blind chart and our 20 big blind chart. And so we're just going to go through the different positions here around the horn, and we're going to take a look at them. You can see 40 under the gun. We're very familiar with what this part of our range is going to look like, right? This is the Jack 9 block that we've been looking at. As we come over to the 20 big blind chart, we see that it still maintains that Jack 9 block pretty well. Queen Jack is slightly more of a fold. Ace 9 comes in a tiny sliver. But one thing that we do see is the pairs, 5s, 4s, 3s, and 2s drop out here, whereas they are mostly maintained through the 40 big blind charts. Part of the reason here is that there's a greater risk of having to put all your chips in, as people are going to be playing more and more aggressive. And when you are jammed into, there are going to be people who are playing aggressively with their overpairs, and these are going to get themselves into a lot of trouble if you're playing 5s and lower from under the gun position. As we move around the horn, you can see the difference, 18% coming in here, 17% here. So it's still a pretty close structure. Moving to this slightly earlier position, we come in with our jacks and 8s, right? Starting to come in with some 10s mixing. Here, we still have a little bit of these 10s coming in, but we're still mixing out this Jack Queen. And our 8s are coming in, but not quite to the same frequency. We also are connecting much stronger, mixing our 3s and 2s coming in here. And our 5s just start to come in, but we don't gain any extra cards here on the bottom of our suited range. 19% versus 21%. From the low jack, as we go around, our 10s are coming in mixed here with our 8s pretty pure, and we start to gain a little bit of more 7s versus the strategy here, where our 10s are much more purely in, our 8s are very solidly in, and 97 is a pure in, 76 is a greater in, and all of the pairs are in at full frequency here now. We still don't have anything lower than a partial frequency of pocket 5s here, although we do gain king 6 and ace deuce suited here. Now we're at 25% versus 22%. But again, we're still at the front of the house, the first 3 positions. As we go to the back 3 positions, we're going to see our strategy loosen up a little more coming around the horn. All right, so here we go. We are now starting to mix in this king 9, ace 7, right? King 9 is not finding its way to get in here. 10-9's finding a little bit of a sliver at 40 big. Much more connection through the suited connectors here. We are starting to get a little bit more with the king 4. So just a few more combos that are going in here. Our 5s are now in at full frequency, but we're still not putting chips in with 4s, 3s, and 2s. 29% versus 26%. We cut off. We will take a look here, and we start to see some of these mixed 9s coming in. Whereas at 40 big blinds, we're in here pure with all our 9s, finding king 8 coming in and finding king 8 out here. On the suited side, we have these sevens in at full frequency, starting to find some sixes coming in, starting to find some suited connectors. But on 40 big blinds, we have almost all the sixes in, and we are mixing more of these suited connectors down here, queen four, king deuce, right? So still the suited side playing significantly tighter, short stacked, 31% versus 38%. So just a green light to go from the cutoff position, 40 big blinds deep, that we don't have 20 big blinds deep. And so then at the button, our widest spot, 36% plus 4% jams. So we're just about 41% here. We're 10% better than that at almost 51%, 40 big blinds. So here where we're playing half the deck, here we're still only playing 40% of the deck. There's also a slight shift. This is the point of the strategy where we are starting to entertain open jamming. And so a few aces do it. And you remember that our Broadway aces don't get to do this. We start jamming our aces that are slightly less than Broadway flopping aces. And where our aces drop off from the offsuit side, they pick up on the suited side. So we want to be jamming some nines, eights, sevens, and then we pick up with fives, fours, threes, and twos. And these very small pairs, only having two opponents to play behind us, take a risk and jam in. If you're going to find these type of jams, you also need to recognize that you're going to have to find some jams sometimes with Jack 10 suited and Queen 10 suited, King Jack off and King Queen off. So how are you going to figure out exactly what combos you're going to jam? Some of this is just going to be repetitive work. One great thing to do is do some database reviews of your short stack play. I will say that this is also a chip EV strategy. What that means is that usually applies to the front half of the tournament. So usually before the freeze out or shortly after the freeze out, you still have 50% of the field. And so this is a very viable strategy for that point. Once you get past the 50th percentile of the field left, so 1,000-person tournament, once you're down to the final 499 players, the strategy starts to want to be a tiny bit tighter. Not significantly so, again, until you approach the money bubble. And then as you get close to the money bubble, pressure comes up. You want to play a little bit of a different strategy. And then once the money bubble pops, it relaxes for a long time, and then it builds up again as you get closer and closer to the final table and to the final positions where you get paid the most money. So that's kind of a natural pattern that continues. So if we also take a look, and we now go from the 20 big blind position down to a 15 big blind position, we will see again a bit of a shift in strategy. Here we're going to play with 15% of hands as opposed to 17% of hands. So just again, a little tighter, a little more linear. So it's starting to mix folding in with pocket sixes. It's folding Queen Jack more. It's opening ace nine less. Right? There's just a little bit less play going on. And there starts to be a little bit of jamming with some hands here. Really not part of a strategy from under the gun, 15 big blinds deep. But as we move around, we'll see it becomes much more prevalent. So this is what we just saw at 20 big blinds, our strategy, fives coming in. Here, we are starting to jam these pairs, 15 big blinds deep. Our suited tens and suited jacks are going to be a huge part of our jamming structure and are going to be what likes to jam a lot. These are going to be the bluff combos that are going to balance out our best value hands that are going to jam. So if you're jamming ace jack, ace queen, ace king here, in order to find balance in your game, you need to find some bluffs. And this is where this is the part of the deck where they are going to come from. And we're going to see this consistent throughout our exploration of short stack play. As we move around, see this area continuing its balance here. Our bottom pair is doing some jamming. We're just raising ace king as we start to play against later and later positions. We get to raise a slightly bigger range, and our jams start to move down into ace queen, ace jack, ace 10, king queen, this block. And you'll see that where the jams leave off here at ace 10, they pick up here at ace 9. And so that type of theme is going to come up a few times as we look at these ranges. Excuse me. Moving on to earlier positions, we see as we get more and more pairs, they are all coming in as jams. Bless me. Our ace range is expanding as we have less opponents behind us who can wake up with premium hands. And we start picking off the queen, jack, 10, 9, and then picking up with the 7, 5, 3, 4, 3. Again, this block of suited jacks and 10s does very well. So we're going to need to find some of these. This is going to be a practice thing as we go along. We'll be looking at some of those spots in some GTO wizard training. 20 big blinds versus 15 big blinds. We can now see that we are almost jamming as much as we are raising. And we still want to be playing a pretty robust strategy here from the cutoff. Gaining chips is important, and people will be playing probably too cautiously, defending the blinds. So we will be jamming down to a 7 on the offsuit side, picking up with a 6 on the suited side, a heavy block of 10s, jacks, and now 9s coming in, all of the pairs 7s down, and some offsuit of our best offsuit tens, the king, queen, king, jack, queen, jack, also now can jam. Finally, and most importantly, when we get to the button, this deep, it is just going with all the kings, aces, and all these aces. We are going with all these suited 9s. We are going with some suited 10s. We're going with some offsuit jacks and offsuit 10s. All the pairs, 7s down. And knowing this is just going to make your life a lot easier. You're just going to have a bunch of hands that are very, very easy to play. And you're just going to pick up 2.5 chips a lot of the time with this strategy. Now, when you get called, it's not going to be good. You're going to go bust, maybe 50% of the time, maybe slightly more. Players tend to be a little more value heavy here when they call. They're not going to call wide enough in general. If we take a look at a calling range here, so if we're the big blind versus a raise from the button, are we calling this wide in the big blind? Maybe, but what about against the all-in from the button? Every pair, every suited Broadway, king 10, ace 3, and ace deuce. Are people calling this wide, defending the big blind? Probably not. They're probably calling most pairs, if not all pairs. Are they getting in there with jack 10 suited, king 10 off, ace 4, ace 3? Probably not. They're probably not going to defend wide enough. And that's going to make your jamming range on the button Generally very good. Bounty tournaments will affect that a little bit, of course, as people will become slightly more incentivized to call. But that's a cover versus uncovered issue that will change, based on who's in the blinds at your tournament and how active they are as a hunter for bounties. So let's move on to some GTO training. And see how we do. Positions. Good enough. All right, 9-10 on the button. Offsuit. Jam, raise, or fold.
I think you can play this.
Gives it a click, definitely in there. So we'll take a quick peek at that range construction. We'll try and do this for every position. We're doing this for the button. So again, we are we are 40 big blinds deep. We need to change this. 20 big blinds. 40 big blinds. No limps. Confirm. We'll try that again. Ace-6 offsuit, 20 big blinds on the button. What's our strategy?
Raise.
Raise or jam?
I think raise.
Okay.
I think that middle region is jam region.
So this is where it's kind of going to leave off a little bit. Yep. So this is the region that has these jams, ace-9, ace-8, ace-7, skips ace-6, and then comes in here with the ace-5. We get stuffed. Call or fold.
I think that is just. I think we fold that. I think we fold that one.
Okay. So
I think it's like a8, ace-8, ace-9. We call.
Yeah. So remember, ace 7, 8, 9 are primarily these jam hands. So those are the ones that want to raise and are too good to raise fold, so they just decide to jam. This one's going to be right on the cusp as well, right? But because it's at the bottom end, it's going to fold. So ace-10, which is going to be at the top end of that jamming spectrum, is going to find its way to call here. Right? And ace-10 is not going to be a great chip producer because it's going to be the bottom of the range. But yeah, we don't raise them at full frequency, so these ones come in as well. But yep, ace-10 is where it comes in. If you're jamming ace-9 and ace-8 mostly pure, right, you're going to wind up with those in this spot. Look at that savage 3-bet ace-9. I hope you guys are finding that. King, queen.
Raise.
Too good to jam?
I like a jam.
It's too playable to jam, I think. I think you want to raise it. Okay. It can flop really well.
Yeah. Yeah. gonna find some slightly worse ones than this. King
Is it
Jack.
king queen off that jams?
Yeah, King Jack is gonna jam here, right? King Queen's just a little too good. It's gonna raise call off. But I mean, jamming's not gonna be very EV different. Okay, we get an 8-7-3 flop for a big blind defense and a donk lead.
Can probably
Call or
fold this.
fold?
I think this is a give up. We don't have any backdoors.
We have 2 overs. That good enough?
Yeah. I prefer to have an ace.
Okay. No.
No, I'm a nit.
Yeah.
I'm showing my inner cat.
Showing your internet. Yeah, we did some deep stack work this morning and we saw this this type of behavior too. 2 overs is going to call a lot. And if we take a look at the entire strategy, you just see this block of hands not finding a lot of folds. Right? Still looking to make top pair and having 2 shots at it is good enough. So a little surprising, but as you start to get shorter and shorter stacked, you do have to take more and more risks. Flush completes. Straights come in. Overcard comes in. Opponent checks. Is king high good enough to check here? This king high particularly. I like a check here,
I like a check, yeah.
but check
Oh,
is
let's
not
bet.
the answer.
I like.
It is really
that.
looking to bet this hand. Okay. So I guess it's probably checking a lot of ace high. It is not checking a lot of ace high. The 10 is just a good card for our range. It is interesting. It is checking pure with the ace of spades and a queen with showdown. King, queen. If you have the spade, it wants to check more often. So interesting. It wants to bet because it doesn't have a spade here. It would want to check more if it had a spade. Just trying to realize equity. But we get this. When we do check, we big top pair on the river and we get this tiny bet. Do we raise for value here? I mean, it seems like a tragedy. 5 or 7.
I like. I would be 5. So that he just. The one big blind blocker.
The idea is right. It just chooses a slightly bigger size. Gone to the greedy value. So I'll just raising one size here. It is primarily this size. It does have some all-in components as well too. Right, so a set of 7s goes all in, a set of 8s goes all in, straight goes all in. King 10, which is 2 pair, king 8, king 7. So it looks like 2 pairs, kind of the line where it starts mixing the non all in and the all in. Then anything better than that. And flush. We just don't have any flushes that we get here within range, really. Other than king jack. And yeah. That's 9-8 suited. So yeah, our flushes want to go into. Ooh. I mean, we have a king. I don't think we get the full top pair here very much. It is a losing play, but it is mixing. Finds some folds. Very marginal though. 10-3, 2 pair. Look at that value. That's one, gets raised. And takes middle and bottom pair to the value town.
Can you show our calling edge? I wonder if we called with a spade then.
Yeah.
Thank you. I wonder if our,
Yeah, if our combo offsuit picks it with a spade.
yeah, if our king queen alpha picks a spade, I think king king alpha would get here.
Yeah, the spade is always wanting to call.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
What wrong with blockers?
Yeah, all of those are 2 pair. Right, so yeah. It likes to have the spade to call off here.
Okay, thanks, man.
No problem, no problem. All right. Kings, real quick. And
I have a question.
sure, shoot.
I wonder, that is as dry as a board gets. Maybe there's no. Before the two connect. I wonder if we get any trap checks here.
Absolutely. I think kings and aces are definitely going to have some checks here. But I think it's going to be a minority play. I think pocket aces are going to check maybe like 25-30% of the time, and kings are going to check 15-20% of the time. Right? Because a jack high board is still a good board for us. So let's play it as if we checked. 9%. Thought it was going to be a little more than that.
Maybe the 4 and
Yes.
2 actually connected.
Maybe. But it probably just wants to build 3 streets here. Like it's going to try and get all the chips in by betting probably small, small, big. Right? Not a lot of room to make a 3 street hand. This is the type of hand that can go 3 streets. Right? Kind of no matter how dangerous the board gets. I mean, we have 20 bigs and pocket kings. I mean, it's going to be hard not to get all our chips in. If we do check, we face a nice big fat turn bet on a rainbow turn.
So yeah, I think it's just a call because it's easy to get it down over here. Like, so it's click back. I was gonna say click back, but
yeah,
SPR is gonna be SPR will be a little bit more than 1. So maybe it does like click back for that.
Yeah. All in and well, it's never folding. And we're up against Jack 6. Happy days. So that's a difference that we've seen immediately between 20 and 40 bigs as well. When you have top pair, you just want to put 20 big blinds in. That's why those kings were incredibly resilient, and we're okay betting 1, we're okay checking, and really never folding kind of no matter what the situation is. Ooh, close. I was thinking, is this a jam? Not quite. Ace, queen, 6. Our range really wants to bet this board.
Yeah, I think we get
Does
the
our-
size out.
So like 1.8 or 3.
I think I like 3 here. Because the board is so good for us.
So the smaller you bet, the more often you get to bet though. Right, when you bet bigger, you kind of have to pick the bet cards that are at the top of your range and the bottom of your range. So I think this is a little more to the middle with our backdoor hearts here, but yeah, we'll take a quick. That is really good. Nailed it with a big bet. This hand, I guess, is very happy to generate fold equity. Another card that's really good for our range. And this one's actually good for our hand.
We might have some jams here. Yeah, I mean, there's only, yeah, I think I might shove on this card.
Well, we were 40 big blinds deep. I would definitely be double barreling here. But our opponent called a big bet on that flop, and ace high flops are tough flops to defend against.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But I mean, they're gonna have some spades here.
I like a jam.
Full
I love a
frequency
jam, but-
or
Sorry, go ahead.
I think we're gonna mix check and jam. Because we don't really want to bet large and then get jammed on because we're still getting odds to call.
yeah, if we pick any of these sizes, we're just gonna price ourselves in. And we're always gonna be behind and in bad shape then. So, yeah, I'm not sure how much of each of these it's gonna do.
I'm jamming here, like in game, I'm jamming 100% of the time. Okay, it's checking 100% of the time.
Yeah. So. I guess probably part of the thing is we just don't generate enough fold equity here when we're short stacked. So this is all 20 big blind play.
Can we see what happens if you have a 10?
For
I wonder
sure.
if it's jamming then.
Where we have a gut shot plus a flush draw.
Yeah,
So yeah,
like
our
10-9
tens,
suited.
We actually don't have a jamming range. It's only bet small.
Huh.
yeah, the white is bet medium and then all the rest of this is small. So it has a bit of white with tens. The tens do want to bet a lot. Right? It's pretty resilient throughout our entire range except for queen 10, second pair. So it does like betting the tens. It loves betting the jacks, which again is also very prevalent with the exception of the queen. Finding bets.
Peter, can you hover over 9-8 suited? Let's see how it mixes that range.
So both of the flush draws want to check and get there, and both of the non-flush draws want to bluff. This is a very interesting one.
Yeah, it's definitely a leak in my game. I jam these spots a lot, but also I think it might just be the big bet that was called. I mean,
It's not negative EV to jam.
Nope, it isn't a bad thing. Right, because you're just going to have enough equity. You're going to make the flush enough times that you're going to be okay, and you're going to generate some folds. Check and probably just a give up here. No,
Yeah.
it bets pot. Leaving 5 behind, but it's a pretty thin bet. Right, so this
Well,
tells us
Hearts aren't bad here because villain should not be defending backdoor hearts really versus the flop bet.
Yep.
I think like spades is a give up.
oh. And just had the straight. Right.
Well, I busted the tournament on the turn, so
No problem. We're left with 5 chips. We'll be studying 5-chip play next week.
I
All
think
right.
this sneaks in.
We're all in with us. The king's good for us.
This
Just
is
as
a
hard
small
as-
frequent bet.
Yeah, so maybe mixing these two sizes, very much a lot of 1-1. Yep. Check raised. I don't think this is gonna defend. But that begs us the question, what would we want to defend with on this board?
But we need a straight draw with our backdoor flush draw. Or a backdoor like 10 queen of spades or
Ace 3 of hearts?
yeah.
I got a ace X of spades with the thing.
Whoa, look at this. It's even calling this. I gotta take a look at this. This seems wide.
I mean, we're gonna be calling a lot of our ace highs still, but yeah, I'm not calling this in game.
Yeah, we are calling all kinds of base high. The exception of the ones that are least connected. We are calling all well, kings, of course. Lots of our suited queen high, suited jack high, suited 10 high. Anything with some backdoor equity here. Wow. Yeah, I am struggling to find this type of the part of the range that's going to continue against a check raise.
I don't think like what's he supposed to check raise with?
Let's take a peek
So
at
this-
how robust his check
We're
raise.
supposed to call this if our opponent is check raising bluffing enough.
So 30%. So are they 15% for value, 15% for bluffs? So they have all these kings. Well, they have all the kings down to king deuce.
Yeah, but are people check raising queen 5 off, jack 5 off,
Yeah.
7-8 suited, 9-7 suited, 9-4 suited, 9-3? Like this is so
Yeah.
much check raise bluffs that population is not finding.
This is a savage amount of check raise. Wait till we get to the big blind. Are we check raising this at this frequency? Are we finding the jack 6 of spades check raise on the king 5-2 board? Oh man.
I think looking at these spots, it's best if we find all the check raises and overfold to facing the check raises.
Yeah. Well, overfolding is not going to be a problem. Team Nit over here is definitely going to find those folds. What I'm going to struggle with is finding these check raises from the big blind. We're
I
gonna
started
have to do a
finding
few-
second pair some, but not as much as they're doing here, honestly.
Yeah.
It's usually just like if I have it over, it's like the over to the high card and second pair. In this case, it's only like an ace 5. I'm not finding queen 5 and all that shit.
Yeah, jack 5 offsuit. Yeah. Okay. So we're gonna have to do a bunch of work on this big blind defense short stacked. 'Cause this is gonna be some savage check raising.
It's a
Alright,
result of the
so-
sizing as well. We bet so small.
So check raise, check. And a
Yeah,
couple, I know
shouldn't-
you want to bet.
I'm checking.
Checking and just trying to make a jack or a 7 on the river.
Ken's betting in game.
What am I looking at here?
No, I'm just check folding here. I'm not gonna turn this into a bluff. Maybe I'll bluff some rivers.
Wait, what happened? We checked flop?
Yeah.
We bet, he check raised, and then the turn went check, check.
Oh, yeah,
Well,
I'm
turn
betting.
went check.
I know you're betting.
And that is the right decision. It is always betting here after check raise. Check,
Yeah,
it wants to bet.
Yeah, the solver's too good. Now we just check.
We make third pair, it's just good enough. So if we didn't make a 7, if this was the 6 of clubs, are we going all in, Ken?
Yeah. Probably mixing give ups and jams.
I think Jack's still gonna win sometimes if we would have checked.
So that was just checking and it's printing 12 chips because the blind's gonna be here pretty wide. But let's see what Jack 6 would do on this river. Jack 6 of spades.
We're gonna beat all of his low, like backdoor flushes. So like, that's enough for me to not wanna spew.
Oh yeah, no Jack 6 wants to have a party.
Yeah.
If we get here, it's just
We're jamming 80% of range.
yeah. It is just going for it. So yeah, one thing, and this is a difference between 40 big blind play and 20 big blind play, and I gotta admit, I struggle with this. I am just not finding 80% of my range jamming this river that I get here with, man. We are
Well,
gonna
it's-
need some work.
I feel like it's important to note that this isn't a vacuum, right? Like in the real world, when you're playing 20 big blinds, a lot of the time there's ICM implications as well.
Yeah.
So pure chip EV 20 big blind doesn't happen so much. So like I think we should take it with a grain of salt.
Do it jam every unmade hand?
Almost 80% of range. So very few
Well, the
unmade
hands that were
hands that are
checking
not
back
checking.
that I noticed were pairs of sevens, pairs of nines.
Yeah.
The white throws me off. It's hard for me.
Yeah, so a
That's-
few ace highs were checking it, I think, right? But not very much.
That's fine.
All right. But I mean, ace high, I guess, is still a marginal made hand in that spot. Ace 10-6. Board we're just gonna bet frequently and small.
Yeah,
Is this king
mostly
9
betting.
gonna work?
I think 1.8, still a little bit connected.
I think either one's fine.
It does like the sizing up. Your instinct
What
is
size
right
do
there.
you think you take with king nine of clubs?
Probably the same size.
Well, we
Right,
block
and
some
probably
continues with the
yeah.
hearts and diamonds. That might go 1.8 more with the clubs, like
King 9 of spades is probably gonna choose between these two. Right, and with just the extra equity of a backdoor flush.
So you think king nine of spades is gonna bet small and king nine of clubs is gonna size up more often?
Yep.
I'd agree with
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, king 9 of spades is just gonna interact better with the future of the board. Although
I
when this
agree.
rainbow hits, it's not any different now.
Well, clubs are still the best thing to bet.
Yeah.
Like you're gonna bluff your clubs here first because they're unblocking all the backdoor flush draws up, right?
I
So
mean,
we
there's
did
two, nothing changed. It makes me wanna bet, but also like he's not, like floating light, so that makes me wanna check.
and
We're
But
king
he
kind of
high-
doesn't
high
have a
limit
lot
at
of
king
aces.
X.
Maybe do we have to borrow him off a 10?
well, king high has a bit of showdown here too.
What a dicey spot. I think we gotta
Yeah,
borrow, nothing changed.
I'm checking here for sure.
Not wrong to barrel, but really high frequency check spot. If you do barrel, it is sizing up. Half pot. Do we call this river bet with king high? I would be inclined not to.
I'm folding.
I'm folding.
All right, good stuff. Well, glad that we made that decision to fold. And 10-6, two pair, savage. Or king 8-2 with the backdoor flush.
Bet small.
We're gonna be betting
Um,
this board a ton. It's super disconnected.
We can check this.
One of my worst kings. I'm just gonna bet 1.1. I'm never checking
you-
this flat. It's a range bet.
Are you betting all your kings? Oh, it's a range bet.
I think so.
Yeah, king 8 deuce is so disconnected. It's just gonna want to put one chip in with 90-some% of range, I'm gonna guess. But this hand does find 28% checks.
That's
Let's
some
take a look at the
checks.
whole range.
I think it's like a 60 or 70% bet. I don't think it's range.
85%. It's
Okay.
almost all the 1.1. But this hand specifically does have a bunch of checking. So I'm gonna guess the hearts just check a bunch. Yeah, you can see all the hearts.
The hearts combined with it being one of our worst kings.
Yeah, when
That's
you
how,
look
like-
at all the hearts.
It's probably not a mistake to bet everything, but I try to play somewhat balanced.
Yeah.
So, like if I have queens here, I know I'm checking, so.
Doesn't even throw out a check. With the jack of spades, all right. Ace nine.
Jam,
How frequently?
80%, it's high frequency, I think.
30%, I'd say.
I think ace nine and
35.
ace eight are the highest frequencies.
Definitely a spot to be jamming. And we are looking good. Again, is your opponent calling off a jam with this hand?
I am.
You are. Nick, are you calling off a jam with this hand?
Hell no.
Although,
Really?
if it
There's
works
a
on Nick,
0% chance I'm calling off a 20 big blind jam with jack ten suited. It's jack high.
So what?
You have like 40% equity against the range, 45. I don't want to risk my tournament life with jack high pre-flop. I'd rather try to outplay him.
all right, what about
Is-
pocket sixes? Are we gonna rip pocket sixes or just raise them?
No, it raise. It's like 2s through 4s.
Basic of
Well,
stuff.
Call,
Do we defend?
is a call off, I think.
Got a call.
3 chips. He's gonna show us pocket twos. Ace deuce, big favorite. We're gonna take 2 stacks to the next table. Okay, jack 8 off.
fold. It's the bottom of the range.
Bottom of the range. Alright, he likes it.
Play it.
And then jack eight's out, jack 10's definitely in. Queen 8.
This is a range bet small. Small and single.
I
Those are-
think we can roll dice and do anything with this hand.
I don't think our hand does well against the check raise though here, 'cause it's gonna want to continue a lot. But we definitely
you
can
think
get
it's-
some back to fold.
I think it's going to be very mixed on everything. It's going to check, it's going to bet small, and it's going to bet large.
I gotta say, I'm gonna be pretty pure in my check raising here with the offsuited combos, or my checking here, because I don't want to get check raised with this hand. Yeah,
Very
if I
nice.
make second pair, I'm just gonna be able to call off 2 bets a lot of the time. So. No, I think I'm gonna stab. We don't have a heart. Maybe I want to stab if I have a heart here. King's
I lean
so
towards
good for
checking.
yeah. It does stab. When it does stab, it stabs big. Needs that fold equity, but does check very prevalently here. Get to the river and I mean, what are we beating? Not very much.
Blocking a lot of bluffs too.
Yeah.
10 high, he's gonna be wanting to bluff, yeah.
If you call, it's a pretty sick call. Yeah, better jack high. Get it fixed. All right. Eight. This one, we don't mind folding if we get check raise. So this one I want to bet.
I'm range betting.
Do we get a big bet? Or a connected board, 2 eye cards?
Yeah,
That's a
there's
big
gonna
bet.
be some sizing up here. But I think this hand is just gonna bet 1.8 a lot. I'm just gonna kind of clean up against the other clubs and diamonds a lot. So, yeah, both are okay. Again, really all of the spectrum of options are reasonable here. Well, this is probably what I'm choosing here most often. So, got to know that I can size up and generate a little more fold equity. Probably one and done with this one a little more. Facing a raise, I'm not continuing. Oop. Dark. Ace three. Stuff to
We
30.
could jam or raise, either one's fine.
I don't think this jams.
That's a jam, I think.
Ace three through ace five jam suited.
Pure or mixed?
Under 20,
Oh.
maybe like 15, but I don't think at 20. I think
Maybe
15,
20.
I think it's 15 they jam.
I think it's a fairly high frequency at 20. I could be wrong. I haven't looked at these in a while.
Pure
be
jam.
I
So
don't
it's like
have,
the
I don't
low
have this in
suited-
my game at 20.
It's the low suited aces, then like ace nine, ace eight off, and then like pocket twos through pocket fives.
Yeah, it sounds
I
like some
think.
pretty good range construction. So your smallest aces, and then you skip ace six, and then you come in here with your offsuit aces. And these fours, threes, twos. And we haven't seen this
Yeah,
yet.
suited
but it's coming.
tens, yeah.
Suited tens, offsuit kings.
I've never jammed offsuit kings in my life.
Never jammed king jack 19 bigs.
No, with 20, hell no. No
Let's
chance.
go.
But like if Ken's calling off a jack 10 suited, I'll be in good shape.
All right. King queen off. Are we going?
No, that's
Yeah.
not, raise it.
Too good? Too good to
Too-
stuff?
Too good to stuff.
All right. You get a little bit in there. All right. Well, I'm glad we didn't
Yeah.
stuff it. This is an interesting flop. All right.
So with this hand, I really want to see a turn. I want to see a queen, a king, a jack, or a spade. So I am checking here like 100% of the time.
I think our hand is strong enough to weather a check raise here. So I am going to be betting 1.1 with this hand.
Also seems reasonable.
It mixes all these strategies pretty prevalently. Checking is definitely the most frequent option, although when you look at the sum of betting, betting is slightly favored. But both are just fine here.
Yay.
Happy days. So my instinct would be to bet 4.5, making it a 16 big, have 12 back, maybe 2.5.
I like to think about it. I think it would be 50 is the right way.
I think either one's fine. And I think without a spade, we'd probably mostly go 4 or 6.
So with the spade, we set up the geometric river jam.
Yeah, I think 4 or 2, but it's only 4.
It's only 4. Okay. I guess it is a pretty connected board still. The board texture is going to change on the river a lot. So
Do we, never mind. I withdraw my question.
okay. Yeah,
Raise.
if at any point people have questions, by all means chime in.
Well,
What I was gonna ask in that last spot was, do we, in that particular instance, do we ever find checks there to try and induce bets on the river? Just because, like, we're only really worried about an ace. We're not even that worried about an ace. But the computer said like 0 checks and like it was
Yeah,
like
so-
1 EV or something.
we're kind of at the top of our value range, so we just want to get value with this hand. The only way to build a pot in position is by betting.
Right.
So
right.
you're still getting called by his straight draws, his flush draws, his tens are still gonna call, his worst queens are gonna call. And all those hands that would have called you don't get the money to put chips in the pot when you don't bet.
Right, okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, he still is here with a lot of spade draws, a lot of straight draws that are just gonna pay us some chips here. Right? And he's still probably gonna be pretty resilient with his second pairs here that we're gonna get some value from. So when we bet, right, like this is his strategy.
And like, look,
So
he's jamming a bunch of bluffs, and for value, he's jamming queen, jack, queen nine. He's jamming stuff that is drawing dead to us.
Yeah,
So it can't do that if we don't bet.
he's in here with a fair number of tens and a fair number of eights that are gonna call at least one street. So we were gonna get value from all of these hands when we make that little bet. But yeah, he's still in here with ace eight and king eight, and so. Okay, jack four, is this too wide?
I think this is a fold.
I think this is the stone cold bottom hand that opens. It might be jack five. It's one of the two.
Okay.
I'm raising. Okay.
I know there's some people Galen isn't here tonight, but he he's definitely getting itchy with this hand. Yeah, it's gonna find its king deuce, ace deuce, but not that one. Right, it's king seven offsuit.
Raise.
Okay,
This one squeaks in there, I think.
just a hair in there.
It's offsuit eights and suited fives, and a little bit longer on the king X.
All right. Lead
I'm
8-8.
just, yeah, I'm just betting 1.1.
Paired board, we're just gonna bet our range a lot. An eight, we have lots of eights in range. But so does our opponent, so we just clean up some auto folds. Okay, let's change it up and let's move to the cutoff here. And start playing a bit of our tighter range. Okay, cutoff strategy. Jack 10 offsuit, in or out?
And
Yeah, we're still in Jack 10. Let's go. Our jams are no longer going to be part of the game here. The big blind is going to be a little more respectful in terms of jamming it in our face.
I'm betting 1.8 here or 3. Mostly 1.8.
Yeah. I want to get called by a 4 or a 2 here a lot still. So
1.1 even smaller.
Yeah.
Do you have this 20% in your game?
oh yeah. Yeah, I have a lot of 1.2 sizing.
Yeah, I didn't really do it when I played tournaments. It was always a 33% or 30%.
That's a function of playing less tables though, right? Like I only play 6 to 8 max really.
Yeah.
Right? If I'm doing that, I can adjust my bet sizing a lot more.
That's fair.
Ace 5 off.
I think it's a raise. I think it's the worst one.
Yeah, there's no jams here, so. If this is our worst one, do we check it?
I think it's a range bet board.
Even range bets boards, we're gonna have a few checks, right? Like maybe pocket kings are gonna check here. So is this ace 5 gonna check?
I think it's gonna be like ace 4 of spade or of hearts. That'll check.
Okay. Yeah, you're right. The hearts on backdoor flush did want to do some checking before. So yeah. Just a small bet.
Is there any checks on this board though?
Let's take it.
Because like everything we have is gonna be a pair or a draw. So I'm not sure.
So that was the thing here. So our strategy on the flop is 100%.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just so good for our range. Everything bets.
Yeah, the 8 and the 10 are connected with the bottom of our range. The ace and the 10 are connecting to the top of our range. Right, so,
It's very, very difficult to have nothing for us.
okay, so now, if that's the case, because we range bet the flop, we are now gonna polarize the turn. While the jack is just good for our range too. So I don't think we're gonna slow down very much. And if that's the case, then we still gotta bet small.
I think we can bet small or check with this hand. I lean towards checking with the 5 of spades in my hand. But I can definitely see the solver just betting a small a ton here because the jack is good for our range.
Yeah, and we still get value from a guy who holds a 9, from an opponent who holds a 10, an 8, or a jack. Probably all are gonna call still.
Yeah, mine's just for balancing purposes is why I'm checking. It's one of my worst ace-X, and the 5 of spades is blocking some of his flush draw continues, which pushes his hands more towards value.
So yeah, here it's definitely picking, hands that interact, so a7 plus. And finding its checks with the bottom of range, particularly ace6, ace5, ace4, right? Ace4 was really good.
On the offsuit branch, is it checking more with the spade, like the ace-5?
Kind of indifferent. Little more with the 5 of spades.
Okay.
So yeah, good read. Blocking is continues. All right, we get to the river. This is where we bet 2 streets. Do we go for the 3rd street of value on this very
Man.
bricky river?
I think I'm just checking.
Yeah,
I can definitely
it's
see a bet being a thing, but
stack to pot ratio of 1 here. A pair. I think it's just gonna want to go.
I was gonna
Three
say it
streets
could
of
just be
value.
a jam everything spot again.
Yeah, like we just get to this river and I mean,
I don't even know if we'll have any checks in range. Board's so good for us. Can we
Yeah.
find a range jam spot? Close.
64% range jam. It is checking back 4th pair. And it's checking back a
Second
little
pair.
bit of jack.
Queens.
Yeah. And king high. Oh, those are pairs.
Yeah, most
Checking.
jack, like it looks like you need 2 pair or ace high to jam or a bluff.
Yeah.
Like even the jacks are pure checking back. Jack king, king 10, king jack.
But they're all super positive EV checks. Right? You're still printing
Yeah.
10 chips to check this hand here. So yeah, your range is just, and I guess it's a function of how much the big blind just has to continue. That call and calls us with a 10.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Not happening in game.
Not happening. All right. Please. Again, we have the spade, we have the heart, we block the most continues, so we don't have to size up if we want to bet. I don't think our hand's afraid of getting check raised. So I think it's going to mix these 2 sizes very prevalently. But I am going to pick this one, looking for a little bit of fold equity and blocking a lot of continues. Yeah, and it does size up a little more. Not finding enough big, medium-sized bets here.
So like, yeah, I was gonna say size up, but I believed your logic, so I didn't say anything. So if you have like king jack of clubs, what size are you taking?
So there, I want to generate fold equity there. I'm a little less, they're gonna have more continues because they're gonna have more hearts and spades. So I'd be more inclined to bet this size with the king jack of clubs. So,
All right, let's look at this over because I have no idea which one's correct. I have king jack of clubs. I'm mostly sizing up as well.
king jack suited, king jack of clubs. It bets more frequently than the other ones.
Yeah, it's large, mostly large.
And the flush draw one just bets a lot. And it does size up. Right? The hearts
Okay.
bets rarely and small. And the offsuit. Yeah, if you have the spade, it wants to bet less. It wants to realize equity when it has one of the suits more than when it has the suit unblocked. Marginally. Right? There's not a ton of difference between them.
Yeah, not so much.
I guess the high cards are just the high cards and they're just strong enough.
Not even continuing with ace high backdoor flush.
Oh, ace deuce, never calling off here. Anyone want to call off?
What's the worst suited ace you're calling off with?
Ace nine.
Ace seven.
Ace nine? Okay, what about on the offsuit branch?
Ace 10.
Okay, and king X.
King jack suited, king queen off.
Okay, and pairs.
All the pairs.
Gonna call, I'm gonna fold twos and threes. I'm gonna mix maybe fours and I'm gonna call fives pure.
Sounds reasonable. I would call ace nine suited. I wouldn't go down to ace seven. Ace 10. I wouldn't do king jack suited. I'd call king queen suited. And like sixes plus, but I think fives plus is EV.
Ooh, ace seven, ace 10, king queen, king jack, pocket fours. Gets in there with some king 10 if you mix that in. That's some pretty good range defense here, but that's very GTO. Me.
Job. Jack 10 suited slivers.
I've never find that call. I gotta be honest, I am not calling queen jack here ever.
Yeah, I tighten my calling range because I don't want to be like flip for 20 big blinds if I don't have to. I'd rather outplay than post flop.
Yeah.
So I trim off the bottoms.
So if you find yourself at some type of a spot where you're playing against a world-class player who is going to outplay you, if you're sitting across from Jonathan Little and Matt Affleck and Louis Philippe, make sure that you are making their life tough by finding your jams and not allowing them to play post flop with you, as they will like to do that. It's Jack. Let's go. Jack 10 with a flush draw, possible flop straight.
I think we size up because of range here. That's right.
So are we thinking, is this a spot where we get a 4.5 big blind bet?
I'm going half pot with this hand.
3?
Yeah. So first question, is this a range bet board?
I don't think we're checking anything on this board. I think this is range bet.
I think
I think we're checking pocket jacks.
So if you have
on board.
ace 2 of diamonds, you're betting?
I think it's a range bet.
Yeah, I think this is gonna bet north of 85%, so it's gonna be pretty close to a full range bet board, if not a range bet board.
So in general, then it's gonna drive down the betting size a little bit, where
Yeah,
we won't have a lot of big, like 60% this shallow.
yeah, and our ace of spades is also gonna drive down our sizing here. But I mean, I'm so itchy. Alright. I 4%, I'm finding it. I'm gonna get there. Alright.
Yeah, it's even smaller.
Yeah,
I
mostly.
mean, I think this is just another example of when we have this much equity. We do whatever the hell we want.
Yeah, I mean, the bottom line is this is a texture that's just so strong for our raising range. Little over 20% checks, mostly betting small, little bit of big stuff, but not very much big stuff. Right? Your aces, kings, and queens want to go big. Your ace jack wants to go big a little bit. Your king jack wants to go big a little bit. Your king queen wants to go big a little bit.
So I think Nick has a good point. This is a bet board that it does drive. We are not polarized, so we're going to bet small and frequent.
And we have a few value hands that want to put in some money, so we find some value bluffs that go that way as well. Okay. Flush completes. Not really good for him, not for us, but it's a low spade. So we still have all of our high spade combos.
We can, if he jams, we're calling off obviously. So I think we polarize, or maybe we want to keep him in. I think we go B9, maybe B6.
I'm betting 3 or checking.
Yeah, I'm never checking here. We can still get called by one spade a lot. We can still get called by a jack, a 10, probably even a 7 if we keep it small. So
I'm not checking a huge amount, like 20%. No, never.
yeah, it just wants to keep putting a little bit of money in here on the pot. Right? I gotta be honest, I am never betting this size because I'm afraid that the fish is gonna jump out of the boat. Right? This fish is like 85% on the boat for me. So I'm trying to keep this fish on board. There we go. Only one thing to do.
And jam and lose to the straight flush.
Jam and lose to the straight flush. All right. Just have
The straight. Oh no, I didn't. 2 pair.
just a 7. All right. Jack 8 off.
It's a fold, I think.
Yeah, it's
Oh.
offsuit 9s.
All right, offsuit 9s. I guess we have the metric set up for the button range, so we're going to find some of these offsuit 8s. So suited 8s, this is going to be good enough.
And this is
Oh.
cusp. I think this is cusp. There we go.
All right, king queen, gonna be good. Or there. So top and bottom, do we check this hand?
This is a range bet board, I think.
Ace queen 4.
We might size down, but I do think we bet.
Yeah. So if it's a range bet board, we don't have to worry. We don't have any checking range. But this would be a hand that would balance our checking range if there is a checking range here.
We have 2 pair.
Yeah.
You think we're checking 2 pair on the flop?
Yeah. We want to protect our checking range here if there is a part of our range that checks. But nope.
I don't know that I've seen a solver check 2 pair in position.
I think it'll check top 2 pair.
Well, it's a function of there's just no checks on this board. So only 1.5% checks, it just never finds a check here. So that board is too good for us. So it bets. Oh, fish off the line.
Can you pull up solver for a second? Sorry.
No problem. You can just pop back right here.
I was looking at a spot like this. Their cash flow. I just thought it, I'm just wondering if I see it here. Do you mind a slight digression for a moment?
Sure.
So, can you look at our equity on this board? Okay.
Like,
So ace 4. So what I find interesting is that if you look at equities of our combos, the equity of our ace 4 combo is significantly bigger than any ace X, which I was wondering maybe spoke to the fact of any 2 pair being vulnerable on flop, being able to be outdrawn. So like the
Yeah,
equity of like ace 10 is 80% or 85%. The equity of ace 4 is 90%. Doesn't give you that much more equity having a 2 pair here, is what I saw.
So 90 and ace 10 is 85%.
Yeah, so I guess that speaks. It's not. I think I'm just overvaluing my.
Yeah,
Well,
the way that ace 10 and ace 4 are going to lose is the same way, because our opponent just doesn't have a better ace here than us, than ace 10. So you're only going to lose ace 10 when it gets counterfeit by a better 2 pair.
Yeah, it's a vulnerable
By
2 pair.
trips. Right? Like when he makes trip queens, our ace 4 and our ace 10 both lose the same way.
Yeah.
or a flush completes, but yeah, they're effectively the same hand because he doesn't have ace jack or ace king in range.
Yeah.
He could have like ace 8 and hit an 8, but that's ace 4 and ace 10 and still lose the same way.
Yeah.
So they're effectively the same hand.
Yeah.
Yeah, weird that
Except-
it's not really that stronger.
Yeah, that's what struck me. It doesn't really. Thanks.
No problem. Yeah, I guess if he has a 2 pair with his queen, he beats ace 10 but doesn't beat ace 4, and that's where ace 4 is slightly better, but it's pretty thin. You know, him looking to 5 out us with a queen there. All right. Jack 8-7 rainbow. Is this a range bet board again?
So yeah, I think we I go 1-8 or 3 here.
I'm sizing up. I'm doing 3 or 4.
Yeah, I keep going 1.8 and it keeps telling me to bet a little bigger, so I'm gonna give it a click. Yep. Half pot. So it is interesting. We've seen a lot of flops that are just half pot bets, particularly with value. Queen. Good for our range. Not really good for our hand. Probably still strong enough to bet.
I think I'd go half pot again.
I'm checking.
Oops.
It is primarily checking. It does size down a little bit with some bets. Are you betting Jack 10 or Jack 9 here, Nick?
No.
Okay.
Well, what? Maybe.
That's straight
I'm mostly
interaction.
checking. I'm mostly checking, and when I'm betting large with the intention of calling a jam.
Okay.
But it's still mostly checking.
quick peek. I want to see if the straight interactor is more important than the size. So the jacks, and Jack 10, Jack 9, Jack 9, Jack 10. Yeah, King Jack checks, and Jack 9 and Jack 10 bet. The straight interaction is more important than the kicker strength here. More accurately, blocking the straight is more important than getting value with your ace or your king kicker.
I like how the only hand in range betting two big blinds is jacks.
Yeah. Yeah, slightly unbalanced here. Okay. Well, happy days.
All in,
All in or only 10?
all you can eat.
All in or 10. Both are okay. Roll.
I think this is a range bet. Small.
I'm checking this hand.
It does it's interesting. This one, it skips this small size and very clearly wants to bet either very, very small or big. Doesn't check very often, but checking is definitely okay here.
This is like my only ace X I check.
Yeah, because I guess the other ones are two pair or interact with the straight draw here. So yeah, I can believe that. Or are just a better kicker. So if you're gonna try and find an ace to check with, I guess you have some suited ones that are below the 6.
Oh, I'm still betting those. Oh, nope.
5s and 4s it checks. 3s and 2s it wants to go for.
So it's just betting the whole offsuit branch.
Yeah, again, just a very high frequency bet spot. The king is just such a strong card for us, and the 9's still connected to it enough.
I mean, 70% isn't really a range bet. That's like,
Two
that's
thirds.
kind of a standard imposition bet range.
I think we call this. Got back to
Wait.
we got over on the
Oh,
back.
yeah. Check raised. We have to call.
Over to the top pair, over to second pair. See, this is a spot I would fold in game. All right. Okay.
I think we fold in game.
Oh, check raise check. We've picked up equity with our gut shots and the diamond.
We're blocking the continues. So yeah, I think we get to that.
Yeah, Kenneth Keppel would be check raise check. Oh, no mercy.
Are you gentlemen in game ever finding his check raise 7-5 clubs there?
That one, yeah, it was a
Backdoor
gut shot.
straight.
No, it was just a gut shot. His board was
Sorry, gut
6-9,
shot.
so he needed an 8.
Full frequency open or mixed folds?
I think
Up
this is
here.
the bottom of I think it's folds. It's the very bottom.
Very bottom. Mixed frequency.
Wait, it opens
Yeah.
ace-5 though.
Yeah, ace 5 pure, ace 6 mixed. But I mean, I'm glad we opened it this time. All right,
Range bet, small.
range bet small. Mixing both of these sizes very prevalently. Oh, now our ace 6 and our ace 10 are both in the same boat. They lose to the queen that paired or the flush.
So yeah, counter finish, but I think we still call.
We have to call once.
Yeah, I mean, we could still get an ace or a 6, right?
Or at least an ace.
Ooh, it's so thin. Oh, do you ever get the feeling you're being
Yeah.
soaked? Now we're ace chops with everything. Aces and queens with a king kick, or do we call for a chop?
I think we fold.
I don't call for chops.
What about, oh, there's
Those
not
are
an
pretty
example.
expensive call.
What about like
So,
ace nine with the nine of spades?
it's still pretty thin here. Ace nine with the nine of spades. It is calling. You're 4.38 chips. Interesting. It folds ace six, but calls ace nine. Wonder why the six is so
He-
particularly bad.
Because he could be turning his 6x into a bluff.
Hmm.
So when you have a6, you're blocking his 6x.
All right.
I mean, this hand is so. We flop so poorly. I kind of like just betting and hoping for an auto fold.
I'm checking. This
Do you
is
need-
one of my highest frequency checks with this hand.
Yeah, I think
First of all, is this a range bet board?
no.
Yeah, definitely not.
I
No.
think the king of hearts is going to particularly want to check because it has the ability to bluff on later streets.
I think king queen in general is going to check a lot. I could be wrong.
Yeah, no, it's definitely checking a lot here. And if it's going to check this, it's going to check them all right without spade.
So I think, is it betting big here in a polarized fashion? Because
take-
It
the
should
flop
be.
was poor, and so that it's just trying to generate folds.
Back here, 25% checks, a bunch of small bets, but primarily half pot betting. So it is generating fold equity when it bets a lot. And it's mixing itself between these three sizes, roughly half the time small, half the time medium. Going for its medium with all of its tens, for the most part. Suited tens less so. And then it bets a lot of jacks. Right? Very intuitive with the slide over card. And queen eight. Betting the eights and the nines on the other side. Yeah, there is a lot of betting here. Right? So a lot of checking ace high. And then king queen is just next to ace high. So it still does checking with the king queen. Once we start to get below king queen, it's betting a lot more frequently.
Yeah, because the reason is whenever my understanding is like on ace king and ace queen and king queen, you want to hit an ace, a king, or a queen and have your opponent hit one and be dominating them.
Like exactly what happened. Okay, let's put in a half pot bet. It does check a lot though, even though because I guess the flush completed. So, oh, do we go for value on this four liner with top pair, second kicker?
I sure don't.
Well, then you get called by a lot worse. Maybe not. That's maybe the problem.
You can only get called by king X, which you're blocking.
Yeah, it is the hand that can do it. So, would it do it? Maybe, maybe not. Might be too thin. All right, octopussies, let's go. Jack 6-5.
1-8.
I like a small bet here. We can get value from a 6 and a 5.
Yeah, like 1.8 or 3 or 1.1. I think all of them are reasonable. Definitely betting.
Checking
Lot of
is also fine. We block some of the hands that are gonna check raise us. But yes, it is bad if our hand gets check raised. Alright, 3. Queen 10. Fold or raise.
Play it
How
this
much?
way. I think we raise this way.
Always raise.
Always raise. Good job. Six, 4.
We
Well,
might get to
range
size
bet.
up because it's disconnected with the ace. I like a
Okay.
B3 here.
I do like sizing up with this particular hand here. Yeah, it even
Even
goes a
better.
little bit bigger. Take a look at that part of the strategy here, see how prevalent that big bet is. It is all over the board with big bets.
And then it
Wow,
balances by big betting. It's
that is some savage
set
range
of aces.
betting. Man,
I think it's a nature of the board because he's jamming a lot of ace X pre-flop. He's jamming pocket sixes and pocket fours pre-flop. So it's really hard for him to continue against a big bet. It's just miserable.
yeah, I guess he doesn't have two pairs and sets and stuff like that in his range here.
Yeah, that's one thing I've noticed. Watching Jeremiah Williams play cash, and that's not something I have in my game. Is that one of the first thing he talks about when he sees a flop is, does villain have two pair? And if villain does not have two pair on that board, then he has more of
Yeah.
a license to size up.
Yeah, until you get to the very night, the 97th percentile here, we are just crushing his range. All across the board here.
What's the equity difference between ranges? It's on there, isn't it? Yeah, well, that's ridiculous. 63, 37.
Yeah, like it's just massive. So, I mean, what's this guy gonna do? Right?
Have you guys watched Jeremiah Williams play cash at all on Twitch?
Nope, I have not. He's a cash game guy?
He's arguably one of the best cash streamers that has ever
What?
played.
I'll kill him.
Good luck.
Send him to me.
You ready? You ready to eat him alive?
Yeah.
Have you seen him? He's really
No,
good.
no.
He
I
plays,
have not.
plays every night, and he is giving away all the secrets.
Ooh,
What
good stuff.
stake does he play?
You name it. Name a stake. I'll tell you.
He plays like 10-20 online.
Yep. Plays
That's
10-20.
crazy.
All right. We'll move one more position over to the hijack. And we will take a look at this one and do a few more from this hand before we wrap up. Jack 3.
Fold way too far out of range.
So now we've gotten away. There's still the button and the cutoff. So there's 4 alligators in the water behind us. So we're going to have a lot more of a narrowing of our range here. But this is somehow going to creep in.
Fold. It's jacks. It's terrible.
Oh.
There's no right way to play jacks.
Okay, so is this a check with jacks?
I think we tear down. I think a pair like this is that frequently small.
Range bet
What?
small. If we have checks, this is a check, but we're not gonna have checks.
This is just gonna be a range bet board and we're just gonna bet it small.
This is like the dream check hand. There's no better hand to check.
Yeah.
We block
Please play seven
spades, we
fold.
block hearts, we have one under to the queen,
5.
fold.
Easy fold. We're gonna get some folds here now.
Fold. Now we're playing real poker.
Yeah. Get used to seeing the fold button. Okay, lead 9-4.
I don't think it's a range bet board.
So I'm gonna check here with this hand.
I think I'm betting this hand small.
Okay.
We get
Small
called
is
by
definitely-
worse. We get called by worse ace highs, and it's strong enough to call a check raise still.
So I think we polarize here. We flopped digital equity,
I'm just
No.
checking.
B6 or B4.
Well, the king's probably really good for our range. Good for our hand. Right, we pick up a gut shot, a flush draw. But I mean, we do have ace high. Put a lot of pressure on when we bet this card.
What's your plan versus a jam?
We probably have to call off with the jack of spades.
Yeah, just because I don't want to get jammed on, I'm checking.
Yeah, it's strong
You're betting
enough
small.
that, yeah, it's probably just gonna call off and it does get jammed on here. Yeah, oh yeah, it's definitely gonna call here. And handle the
Is it
check
ever
raise.
just, I was gonna say, is it ever just rejamming?
No. You keep his bluffs and then they're gonna give up on the river.
We're bluffing too.
Well, I mean,
All you can eat.
have we been
Yeah,
milked
just
by
like
the
a-
ace of
Close
spades?
the king.
He folds trip fours on the river. For 10 more bigs.
See, I would have jammed and got it in terribly. Or he would have folded actually.
Okay. 75, is this in or out?
I think it's a fold.
Out. 7,
Raise.
and it's pretty thin. We gotta be getting close to the bottom of the barrel though.
Hello.
King 10-6 flush draw. Does it check
So-
ever?
I don't think we check because of the board. I think it's a B18 or B11.
I'm betting small.
Small and frequent, mixing both these sizes. Does check 33% of the time.
Again, so much equity. Do what we want.
But this short, we can still bet twice and get all the chips in here, right? So. Again, this hand is so unafraid of any card coming off.
I keep it.
So,
I think, so now it's all about SPR, right? So, yeah, B2, 5 more in the pot. You just about SPR of 1. I think B2's right.
yes, so 2.55 or 4.25. I mean,
I'd
we
bet
just
somewhere
bluff.
between the two in game.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the perfect answer. Hey, you put in 3 chips, this is the right amount for this spot. Try to keep the fish on the line as best as you can. King.
Raise. I think it's the bottom. I think it makes sense. I could be
think it's a
wrong.
fold.
Yeah, just a fold.
Okay. thought it squeaked in there. I know it's offsuit tens, but I thought the king X was like 1 pip wider.
Yeah.
Right.
Definitely from the cutoff, but I think there it's just slipping out. Check deuce, one chip. Ooh,
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a call, but I would fold in game.
huh, I am
We have
gonna
nothing
fold
going on here. We've all got a backdoor straight draw and an over.
yeah,
Yeah, I would just fold
92% fold. So if you make a savage call, you turn open ended, he checked, raise checks. Oh, now it chooses to check. All right,
Too much equity.
too much equity. Flush completes. We should have folded before. Oh,
I was gonna say-
look at this.
I don't know. I
Find
don't
a
know if we needed a
shove.
spade to do this.
How does it find a I mean, what exactly about this hand? makes
Watch
it a
me stream
flush
poker.
shove?
There's a lot of this.
Well, how is he gonna fold for 6 more bigs?
I don't,
It's so. What do we call the check raise with that is worse than this hand?
Yeah, I guess.
I mean,
Function
we
of
want to
that.
block the flush. We were going to. If you were on a
Yeah.
paired board.
That's and I'm not. If I had king 10 with a spade, I would do this. I'm not going to do it without a spade.
We argue that's a low frequency shove.
And I'm probably not doing it with when he only leaves himself like 6 big blinds. I mean,
Yeah, I mean,
I think we bet one here on a mono board. I think we bet often and small.
yeah, the more the high cards are, the more it blocks our ability to have a flush here. So
I don't know if this is going to check or bet, honestly, because of that.
Yeah, I think it's actually gonna check some kings here, but I don't think because we don't have a king high or because we don't have a king, I don't think it's gonna check, so I think it's gonna bet.
Yeah,
But
that's check.
we'll take a look here. I think it's gonna find more checks with kings than you would think. That is not checking very many kings. I would have thought it would have checked more kings than that. But yeah, just checking 5%. It's a range.
The
That's
nature of
fine.
monotone boards is to just tiny bet or small bet. Higher range.
Like ace, king, jack of spades. Do you think we're going to have a lot of small bets?
Ace,
Okay.
king, monotone?
Yeah.
Ace, king, jack. I honestly don't know.
Yeah, ace,
Yes,
king,
we
jack.
do.
0 checks. It just
That's
bets
crazy.
50%.
Cool.
There. Yeah, just yeah, but like, I mean, what flushes do we have? But it doesn't matter what flushes we have. We have so many 2 pairs and sets and straights.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we're 20 big blinds deep. We're happy to stack off with a lot of stuff. Whereas if we were like 40 big blinds deep, I think we'd be checking it a ton.
10 is good for our range here. So get a double barrel. Is the right choice.
In this spot, it's hard for me to find polarizing turn bet because he's never folding a reasonable spade.
No, but when he has a spade here, he doesn't have a pair very often, so your ace high is good,
Oh, that's a good point. That's valid.
right? Like, yeah, he just doesn't have as many pairs, but I mean, he also has a lot of pairs that are calling along that are afraid of the spade. Like, it's one of these, the more you bet, the more often you give him a chance to make a mistake here with either folding a pair that has you beat or not realizing equity with a spade that's drawing strong against you here.
That's a good point.
Well, I mean, we're just beat by everything, so. I don't know if you have a pair or if you have a flush. Yeah, 10-6 suited.
That's it, sir.
Right. Oh, Jack 10.
Don't
Is
know
it
if
in there?
Sneaks in. Yeah, I think this sneaks in.
Just in. Bottom of range. Jack 10 off. King high board wants to bet a lot.
I'm sizing up with this hand.
Yeah, this hand wants to generate some fold equity. Yep, it's good. Very small or big. Little less of the standard size. Love it. Better hand out of there. Okay. Good. Is this strong enough to check?
I don't think we get to check this board.
There's
I'm not sure. Yeah, I'd be with it.
There's two cards that are good for the big blind here and one card that's really good for us. So I think this is going to be a bit of a polarized spot. So I think I'm going to find a check here with this hand a lot.
I'm betting small with this hand. Ace, queen, and ace, jack, I'm betting small with for value.
How are you going to react to a check raise?
I'm gonna cry.
Okay. Yeah, it is betting small primarily, but 28% checks. If you check here, it's okay, but mostly betting. And prefers to use the very small when it does go for a value bet here. And we get the donk lead. Do we give up against this micro donk?
So I think we call it micro dunk. I
All
don't
the
think
we
micro.
have to. It's based off range construction. I think we have to call. In game, I'm folding, but to reach MDF in the solver, I'm calling.
Yeah, I think this is gonna mix, and I think it's gonna have some folds here. Nope. 0.01% fold. It's more
Here's
of a
the thing.
raise than it is a fold here. Your call.
Gross.
Wow. Can't click the button fast enough. Get me out of here. 43. What a beast. All right.
I think we get to check this. This is his dream board. I think we check a lot here.
I think we're range betting small. It's a monotone board.
Yeah. This doesn't really block many flushes that we have except for ace 5, ace 4, ace deuce. So we have pretty much our full complement of flushes here. Less 3 combos. So this is pretty good for us. So I think it's going to bet a lot and it's going to bet really small. It is betting a lot and it is betting all 3 sizes and checking here. Let's take a peek.
Yes. Mixing everything.
Yeah. So I'm definitely not finding these big bets on this board.
Yeah, I'm not either.
Yeah.
I think oftentimes if you look at the equity comparison, I'm curious if he has more equity on this board, even though it's monotone.
So he has more
Yeah, we still
flushes.
have the equity advantage.
Yeah, it's pretty marginal though.
I think, yeah, the sport's probably a little bit too connected to the wheel for him to have a real equity advantage. Because we still have
Yeah.
ace three suited.
So here's our bucket that we have that's driving our value here. Is this, we still have all these over pairs.
Yeah.
Right? That are there. Right? Our opponent has top pair, second pair, third pair, right? With the fives and the fours and the threes. But all of those are in trouble against our over pairs here.
The other fun part I find surprising is that I always assume they've got the advantages, the nut advantage of the flush. But this one is telling us that's not the case. That we have twice as many flushes as they do.
Mhm.
And I guess it's because these low spades block their low spade flushes.
Yeah.
I mean, it's also they have every combo of hearts, diamonds, and clubs too that isn't spades.
Mhm. So yeah, like they're rebetting some of these, they're missing the top ones of these. They're blocked from having all these combos that normally they have. So because we have these extra ones up here, it kind of matches for what we're missing down here. So the flushes are pretty much even here, right? And so we have a slight flush advantage even. Right? Because they're not in there with 9-10, 10-9, ace jack, ace queen, ace king. So yeah.
It's interesting that even though they have all the sets, they do not have another advantage on this board.
Yeah, fourth and fives for us. We're pretty high up. Okay. But when it goes back call, equities shift, flush. Oh, wow, I mean, our opponent has more threes, and as we saw, like we have this very similar amount of flushes here.
Yeah, so maybe that drop. I mean, I think this is a give up. I think this is polarizing. I don't know. I think this is polarizing. You gonna go big or check? And I would check.
So our hand can't really call a river bet,
No. Okay.
which makes me want to bet here, right? Like even if an ace or a 10 rolls off, are we calling a river bet here? Probably not.
Well, that's the entirety of your range, though. You can't call a river bet with anything like king, queen of diamonds. You can't call a river bet with, right? So it's like, where do you pull from?
Yeah, I mean, we could call a lot of river bets with some single spades. We have some sets.
I'm check folding for sure.
I think we're gonna. Well, I think we get some bets, but yeah, we must have.
Yeah, it doesn't want it. There is some giving up here, but if you are fighting for it, that's okay here too. So when we check, planning to give up. Oh, look at this size.
I mean, I think MDF demands we throw a chip. in.
I'm all in because I'm angry.
Nick is rage jamming and throwing away 16 bigs. I am getting
I'm just
value
holding.
soaked. Oh, look at him go for value with the straight. Sick. I had to pay to see it. Oh. 76. Gotta be bottom of range, 0.02.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, I guess this is why we opened 76.
Range bet small.
Keep the fish on the line. Polarized turn. Oh, don't have to.
I don't think we have a raise.
Yeah. It's gonna have a lot of nines here too. Nines with the spade. Gonna have some big spades.
I wonder if it's well. This is our lowest flush, so we never raise, I guess.
Well, it's nice. We unblock all the big bluffs. Well, there's still the 5 of spades to come that can save us.
I'm checking.
I'm praying for the 5 of spades. At least the board paired.
We don't get to judge that.
The big blind's
I'm
gonna have some
checking.
trip fours here. We get value from a 4. Maybe that's too in the weeds.
I don't, yeah, I might be too, yeah, we just do this.
Yeah,
right.
straight.
Could have got value from the straight. Interesting. He check raises it, makes the straight, and then checks and checks. Alright.
Range a bet small. These spades are coming.
Yeah, good. What's going on here? But the spade machine has been left on overnight.
So he's fucked additional equity at fours.
Okay.
So like 4 or 6.
4 or 6.
I'd probably go 6 in game. Cause I watch too much Jonathan Jaffe.
Checking 30%.
I'm checking in game. Yeah, 30% seems reasonable.
So a little bit of Jonathan Jaffe going 6 here on a monotone board. I don't know about that.
I don't like 6. I'm checking or I'm betting 3.
Yeah. All right, let's take a peek. I'm gonna check here. Oh yeah, 30%. And it does pick for 4.25. Right? So very prevalent there. A little bit of 2. So if you're mixing these and betting 3, that's just fine.
And call. We don't get to raise.
Well, I mean, this is third nuts. You don't get to raise third nuts.
What, jam or like min click?
All the cookies.
I don't think we get to raise. No, I think it's a call.
Oh, you're only beat by the ace. Oh, the ace, the queen, and the jack, 4th nut.
I'm calling. We're ahead of a few more spades than we are behind. Just calling.
Still got the 2, 4, 6, 7, 8. All right.
How often would solver bet a lesser flush? I don't think it would.
Let's take a peek
So-
at that.
We are beating 3 or 5 combos and losing to 3.
So what's his bets with this 5 sizing? It's not a very big part of his strategy. So let's look at his single spade hands. He's got a lot. He's betting that are all better than us. He's not checking worse spades.
Well, that's an
He's betting
important
his
lesson.
worst
He does. It looks like this is telling me he will bet a smaller spade than what we had with our 10.
Yeah.
That's important to see.
Yeah, his checks are tricky because his checks are all 9s with a spade.
Does he check any? Okay. Is that ace-9 with a spade? He's not checking ace. Is he trapping ace-9 with a spade?
Yeah,
Yes,
of
he
course.
is trapping the ace of spades here with ace-9. Right? But he's also here with 10-9. And so. Okay. And he just had a 3. All right, we'll do 1 or 2 good more. Here we go. It's gonna be fun.
Yeah, I think it's a small bet.
Just range bet 1.2 chips. Turned out nice
Or
again.
better.
Nope. King, queen off.
Fold.
So. I am gonna fold here in game. I have better parts of my range that I defend here because my range gets compressed. Button, I probably have to call this off, but from here, never calling it.
Raise.
Oh.
This is a very high frequency check board.
I'm gonna have some checks on this board.
I think I'm betting this hand.
This hand definitely wants to bet. So I think it's
Sizing.
gonna be pretty small too.
I'm going 1.8 or 3.
Those three. And
I'm
even
glad the solver
pots-
really narrowed down our strategy on this board.
So, but there is a couple of heuristics here, right? It doesn't like this very small sizing very much because it's not going to generate enough fold equity. So it doesn't mind checking. And when it likes to bet, it bets medium or very big.
So before we look at the solver spot, what do you think the c-bet frequency is on this board?
45%.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's a high check board too.
Because the bottom of our range is going to bet a ton because we're going to have a lot of 8s and 9s and 10s in our range. And because there's a flush draw, it's going to bet some single big spades. So I think that's going to get us up to nearly 50% of the range.
So
Okay, that's right, yeah.
But the highest check board for us would be 6-5-4. So this is going to be very close to the highest.
I think it's going to be like 55% or so bets.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if it's around there. 45% bet, 40% bet, 60%
Yep.
check.
Lots of checking.
Betting a lot of 8s, a lot of 9s, some 10s.
Well, we can see the strategy is that whenever, as you're c-betting more often, your bet size is driven down. And as you c-bet less, you're going to size up more often. That's why there's basically no small bets here. It's half pot or larger.
And then, primarily the half pot. We're in a hand where there's this minutia of overbetting, right? That it wants to do with pocket 10s, and then it picks this combo, ace 9 off, to do it with as well. Particularly with the 9 of spades, just kind of a bit of a freak spot where we found ourselves with the overbet. Not really a big part of the strategy, but 10s and jacks want to do that overbet here. Okay.
Check.
Ace high. I mean, what are we gonna do?
Oh,
Oh,
I was gonna jam. Wait.
wait.
Yes, I wait.
Go
I had
for
to
it,
think about
chop.
it. We have the 9 of spades. We're blocking 8, 9. We're blocking flushes. We don't have enough flushes to balance our range, so it becomes with what's the best hands to bluff catch with. And the 9 of spades is just one of the best cards in the deck to have. I mean, obviously an 8 is better.
Mhm.
Yeah, we're not blocking 8-9. We're not blocking the flush. I can see them.
So, and forgive me, like, I'm gonna give you how I think of this. I have to put in 16 chips to win 4.5 chips. I gotta be right a lot of the time here.
That's a very good point.
Yeah.
Yeah, chop pot odds are the equity distribution of pot odds. Of
Like,
chop pots
so-
gets very interesting.
To clarify, I'm folding in game always.
Yeah.
I'm in solver land here where I think to properly defend our range, we have to call with stuff like this. It's blocker oriented.
Yeah, I mean, if we're playing live and this guy accidentally flashes me the queen of diamonds, I think I'm still folding. Oh my goodness, I can't even do it. I can't even do it. Oh, thank goodness. I am not happy.
All right.
All right. This one's gonna be easy, and maybe this will be the last one. But, all right, there we go. Too easy.
Yeah, I'll do one more. I gotta get out of here too.
Here we go. Ooh, Queen Jack. Everyone folding?
Hell yeah, I'm folding.
Yeah, so
Here. Queen, Savage, he's 10. Here we go. Ace, King, 6. Range bet board?
yeah, actually, I think we size up because it's so good for us. I think we can bet 3 or
Okay.
4 here. I think
I'm
we
range
actually can
betting
bet 4.5
small.
here.
Okay. Yeah. It is range betting and it is picking the bigger size. Yeah, that is a good instinct, Larry. Great spot.
Thanks, man.
Let's take a quick look at that range as a whole. Make sure what is sizing up. Elements of everything all across the board. Yeah, a little bit of range sizing up all across the board. Yeah, very prevalent with our aces. These hands that have the board so locked up don't do it as much, but everything else wants to size up. Well, anyway, this was a pretty good study session tonight, looking at a couple of spots from short stack play. Next week, we will might do something a little bit different, but then we'll continue on with working through the beginning of this. And that'll be much tougher to find our opens, right? And the risk as we start to play 20 and then 15 big blinds short. And then it will be quite a learning experience as we move into what do we do in the small blind and the big blind here. Because this range construction short stack is a spot that you're going to be in a lot when you've lost a pot up top and you're a little short and you need to chip up to get back into the race. So thanks for everyone popping in this week, and we'll catch you guys next week. Nick has a cash game study session on Saturdays. What time is that, Nick?
11 a.m. Eastern Standard.
11 a.m. Eastern Standard. So if you guys need to get your cash game fix in, make sure that you tune in and listen to some good content on cash game stuff.
Thanks, Peter.
Right.
Appreciate the time. Hey, Nick, are you kind of doing the same thing that we're doing here in your cash game?
Yep, very similar.